Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, this is what happens when you talk about the TPP on live TV.
I am helping to lead the opposition to the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Cut him off, cut him off.
We've been listening to Bernie Sanders, less of a news conference, more of a speech.
MSNBC cut away from live coverage of a Bernie Sanders press conference once he began to condemn the controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership. Then, President Donald Trump says he will prosecute Hillary Clinton. And Saudi Arabia wants to give radical jihadists anti-aircraft missiles. This way they could shoot down Russian planes. Well, Songbird McCain likes that idea. All that plus much more up next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Well, not content with just threatening to invade Syria and oust President Assad, Saudi Arabia now says that they want to go ahead and just arm the Syrian jihadists with surface-to-air missiles so they can shoot down Russian planes. Now, this is coming from Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir, and he said this during an interview that we believe that introducing surface-to-air missiles in Syria is going to change the balance of power on the ground. It will allow the moderate opposition to be able to neutralize the helicopters and aircraft that are dropping chemicals and have been carpet bombing them, just like surface-to-air missiles in Afghanistan were able to change the balance of power there. This has to be studied very carefully, however, because you don't want such weapons to fall into the wrong hands. Of course, just like we've seen the weapons fall into the wrong hands time and time again because there really is no such thing as moderate rebels there in Syria. The New York Times pointed out as much in 2013. Then Hubbard wrote, "Nowhere in rebel-controlled Syria is there a secular fighting force to speak of." And of course, we've been reporting this for years as well. But arming the moderate rebels, where have we heard this before?
We need to have a no-fly zone. We need to have a buffer zone for refugees. We need to provide.
No, I know that, Senator,
help.
but if they're attacking the very guys who we want to see topple Assad, you would let American planes just continue to pass them and let them do that?
No, but I might do what we did in Afghanistan many years ago to give those guys the ability to shoot down those planes. That equipment is available.
Who would be shooting them down?
The Free Syrian Army.
And speaking of weapons falling into the wrong hands, authorities in West Virginia are investigating the detonation of an alleged explosive device. Now, this happened late Sunday in Hansford, West Virginia. Detectives there say they have no potential motive or suspect. They also didn't see when it was placed there. They've taken the fragments for further testing. And Joe Biggs has more.
Now, let's go back before what you said earlier, that there was an explosion that went off in Kanawha. Now, ISIS in West Virginia, America's Fusion Centers report ISIS investigation ongoing in the Mountain State. This is from September 16, 2014 in the Inquisitor, where they're talking about people investigating these Mubarak al-Jilani networks like we saw with Islamberg in New York and all that. Now you have in Kanawha County an IED device detonated in Hansford. Now, no one's talking about this.
It's on the side of the road.
Yeah, on the side of the road. That is a typical spot for an IED.
Haven't you had the opportunity to enjoy these things twice yourself?
I've enjoyed those more than twice. Those are not fun events to be part of. I mean, it is horrible. Now, the thing about
the ones you were drove into were huge, though, right?
Oh, yeah, they were giant, enough to lift an ASV about 15 feet up in the air, blowing all the wheels off, hitting the ground on the V, and then flipping around. Yeah, not fun. So the local KCHS TV in that Kanawha County in West Virginia is reporting that the IED went off. The local bomb squads went out. They reviewed over the situation, said it's an IED, and the police are not making any comments on the situation at this time. But here's the thing. You go back, you look at the history of these cells. There have been cells spotted. There are people looking into it, doing investigations to ISIS sleeper cells in that area. So this could be a trial run. They use something like this. They use a smaller detonation, something that's not going to cause a lot of harm, to see how these ambulances, fire department, bomb squads will come into that area.
So they can shoot them up.
No, well, what they do is they want to see how they set up
and they got
cordon off that area.
More bombs, and they plan them right where they're going to put
That's the worst, yes. So in combat, you put
my
up a
cousin
weaker
was telling
device.
me exactly like they come to one event and they know where the helicopters would land and then blow those up.
Yep, it's called a secondary device. Your secondary device is usually your most dangerous ones to worry about. So they'll have something smaller to bring in everyone. And they'll use, you know, something like this right now to measure. They'll sit back, far off, take notes, kind of write up a little grid on a piece of paper. And
oh, that's why you're so concerned. I wasn't thinking about that.
So what I'm thinking is this could be a trial run. They do this to see how it's going to happen. And they use that to see how these guys in an area will respond. The next time it could be something bad because we know that there is ISIS in that area. It's already been reported before. That's what I'm worried about, is another small device going off. They bring in these people, and then this time they'll actually be secondary devices.
Well, a federal judge has threatened to subpoena Hillary Clinton over her emails. This is a warning Tuesday that he might have to subpoena her entire secret email account, saying that he has real questions about whether the Obama administration gave her special treatment. In the interim, Judge Emmett G. Sullivan said that he's going to be granting discovery to Judicial Watch, who's sued to get a look at the emails. So this means that the group is going to be able to demand the State Department explain who approved Mrs. Clinton's server, how many officials knew about it, and what accommodations they made to her after her emails became a public issue. The judge said that he is inclined to issue a subpoena eventually, forcing the department to go back to Mrs. Clinton and demand she turn over the entire ClintonEmail.com system that she and her top aide, Huma, set up. I guess it was a little bit more convenient for them. But one person who says that he's definitely going to be prosecuting Hillary Clinton if he becomes elected is Donald Trump.
Now, maybe she can prove her innocence, but it just seems to me that I think the public knows everything that they're going to know. You know, the emails have come out, and she seems to be guilty. But you know what? I wouldn't even say that. But certainly it has to be looked at if a Republican wins. If I'm winning, certainly you will look at that as being fair to everyone else. So unfair to the people that have been prosecuted over the years for doing much less than she did. So she's being protected. But if I win, certainly it's something.
Well, I've got to agree with Donald Trump there about justice being served. Is it fair across the board? It never really has been. We've seen them favor Hillary Clinton time and again. Another thing that I agree with Trump on is his stance on the TPP. He is against it. Someone else who's very against it, Bernie Sanders. And he has been speaking out about the TPP, not for the same reasons Donald Trump is, but again, he is against it. Now, he was giving a press conference and MSNBC was covering it. It was going live. But as soon as Bernie Sanders mentioned the TPP and started condemning it, MSNBC cuts away.
And I am helping to lead the opposition to the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
We've been listening to Bernie Sanders, less of a news conference, more of a speech in Boston. They're drawing contrast.
Right, see, there's no news there. They want to cut away. He doesn't have any news for you about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, MSNBC's owner Comcast benefits greatly from the TPP. Kit Daniels has more on why MSNBC would dare cut away from Bernie Sanders.
Every once in a while, there's a article that really serves as a zeitgeist of what's really going on in America and really crystallizes the problems that this country faces. And this article is really no different. MSNBC censors Sanders condemning TPP. MSNBC cut away from live coverage of a Bernie Sanders press conference once he began to condemn the controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership. Social media exploded as a result, as viewers felt the break in Monday's coverage was due to MSNBC's owner, Comcast, not wanting to air criticism of the TPP because it benefits greatly from the treaty. Now, I saw on Twitter when this broke, all the Bernie Sanders supporters, attacking MSNBC, accusing them of censorship. And I saw the clip myself, and I tend to agree with them. But, it sounds bizarre. You got, this far left socialist, Bernie Sanders, and his supporters attacking MSNBC, which is a far left news network. So, it looks bizarre. It's like, what's really going on here? But once you really dig into it, it's really not that bizarre because remember, 90% of the media in America is owned by about 6 or so corporations. And so, you got MSNBC pretending to be liberal, but it's really just authoritarian left. And then you got like Fox News, for example, that, pretends to be conservative, and in many ways it is. But Fox News is really designed to kind of control the conservative movement. And MSNBC is just designed to conserve the leftist movement because there's really no such thing as left versus right in America. It's a false left-right paradigm. What's really going on is the state versus you. And in 2014, there was a former CBS correspondent, Cheryl Atkinson, that revealed that the mainstream media was being covertly manipulated by well-financed political forces who are also trying to sway public opinion through social media and also editing Wikipedia articles as well as, mainstream media in general. And she revealed that real investigative journalism in America is slowly dying away because there's this current editorial push to promote stories in an unnatural fashion, stories that the public's really not that interested in, but you see it over and over again in the media, kind of like global warming, for example. So, she kind of revealed what's really going on. You got this mainstream media that's controlled by these global elite and politicians and bankers and whatnot that are using it to deceive the population. Now, this has been going on quite some time. I mean, starting out, let's go back to the founding of the country and the founding fathers. They set up this country as a constitutional republic of limited powers, right? And so, but then once you started seeing back in the 1920s and the 1930s, you had all these, the Congress started giving executive, judicial, and even congressional power to these unelected bureaucracies. And now what you have is about 250 or so federal agencies that are completely unelected, and a lot of them run without charters. Congress just gives them money, year after year, with the budget requests. And of course, a lot of these bureaucracies, obviously, they're not really controlled. They might do some wrong. Once they do some really bad wrongdoing, you got Congress might step in and do a hearing in there, here and there. But overall, nothing's ever done. But why is this? Why you would think that even in the 1920s and 30s, when more Americans were awake to what's the Constitution and Bill of Rights, and they had more of a understanding of the foundations of the country, you would think that they would stand up and stop this from happening in the first place. But what you had was the banking elites and politicians. They started buying up the mainstream media, and they started using propaganda techniques developed during World War I to kind of convince the population to support things that they really didn't want. Because when the population relinquishes control over its own affairs and is kept disorganized and distracted through purposeful deception, then you're going to have all these federal bureaucracies that run with unlimited power, and they can do what they want. That's just how it is. And this goes back to why the media hates Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, because the global elite who controls mainstream media, they think that Americans and the world population in general is too dumb to manage their own affairs, and they must be led like cattle to the world envisioned by the global elite, the Davos and Bilderberg and whatnot. So they're using the mainstream media to kind of manufacture consent through people for things that the public doesn't really want. And, you saw this over and over again with gun control and climate change and whatnot. But now you got Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, which are, especially with Trump, they're seen as political outsiders. They're not establishment figures. And they're kind of letting the genie out of the bottle because they're showing the American public that how this scam works, how the politicians maintain control over the population, you know, all the scams that they run. But, you know, Donald Trump's kind of like the guy that's showing the kids how the magician is able to pull all these so-called magic tricks. And once you know how it's going, what's really going on, there's no such thing as magic anymore now, is there? So when the Americans and the world in general start really waking up to this deception, you know, that's when the power brokers, they really start to lose power. Now, once again, this is Kit Daniels with InfoWars.com, and I'll probably do an in-depth video report for this for YouTube on my channel, Resistance News, so check it out.
Well, Bernie Sanders isn't the only one that has problems with you having money in your pocket. The globalists also want to take cash out of your wallet. Now, here are 5 ways they're planning on doing that.
Rob Dew with InfoWars.com, and I want to talk about cash. That's right, paper currency. It's portable, it's reusable, and it keeps your transactions anonymous. But in the 21st century, the attacks on cash have really ramped up. And here is just a compilation of 5 ways that the globalists and multinationals are trying to kill cash so they can track and trace your every transaction while you're in the matrix.
Number 5, sock puppet attacks. Banker bootlicker Larry Summers has recently come out in vocal support of killing the $100 bill, saying it would make the world a better place. This echoed the statement made by Standard Chartered CEO Peter Sands, who said a $100 bill ban would deter tax evasion, financial crime, terrorism, and corruption. Oh, you mean like how Wachovia laundered $380 billion from Mexican drug dealers, but only paid a $160 million fine. Is that the kind of corruption you speak of, Mr. Sands? Then there is Europe ECB henchman Mario Draghi, who stated he would like to see the end of the 500 euro note, then move to kill the 200 and 100 euro note respectively. It's these sock puppet attacks that lay the groundwork for pundits to pick up the ball to brainwash citizens that cash is bad. Number 4, apps that scream, cash is for losers. Venmo, started in 2009, allows smartphone users to make financial transactions sans cash. Venmo and other transaction apps like Square Cash, PayPal, Google Wallet, and Apple Pay have become a big hit with trendy millennials and are designed to wean these youngsters off of using cash, making it archaic. Just don't lose your phone or you'll be up a creek without a paddle. There are dozens of current cash-killing apps and platforms being used now, and more are on the way. Number 3, games. Monopoly has just announced money is no more in the Ultimate Banking Edition. Instead of paper money, which can easily be laundered or stolen when you aren't looking, this new edition uses debit cards. It also does away with the easily corrupted banker position, replacing the human with an electronic card reader, aka an ATM. But they have been training young, impressionable consumers to shun cash since the Monopoly Electronic Banking Edition was released in 2006. Remember the game of life? Its new electronic banking version also does away with cash and stores all your money on cash cards, training you to look at plastic cards as having a value. More brainwashing that cash is bad and cumbersome, and of course you can trust the banks to keep all your money safe. Number 2, central banks. Now that we have gone through years of ZIRPs, zero interest rate policies, brought on by the last engineered...
Now you can watch the rest of that report. It's on the Alex Jones YouTube channel. The title is 5 Ways They Are Killing Cash. And it's all about how the globalists have declared a war on cash and how they're planning to pull it out of your wallet. So go ahead and check that out. Share that video with all of your friends. Like we've been warning, they really do have a war on cash. Now stick around because coming up, we're going to be talking about the war on words and specifically internet freedoms.
We believe in win-win, folks, treating people like we want to be treated. That's why we develop nutraceuticals with Dr. Group and other top researchers, chemists, scientists, you name it. He's one of our advisors, to come up with products like Anthroplex that is an original product that he made just for us. And this is a base system to make super male or super female vitality work even better. It is natural. It just helps get your body pumping and going in the way you need to be going. And Dr. Group is here till we go to break to tell us about the latest product at InfoWarsLife.com, Anthroplex, that out of the gates, and we do this all the time with a new product, we discount it out of the gates to get you to try it, knowing that you're going to love it. It'll sell out. So InfoWarsLife.com, Anthroplex, 15% off and free shipping. for the next 2 days only when you get it with super male or female vitality. Let's go to Dr. Group. Why do you call this the foundation to start the fire, and then the super male takes you to the next level?
Well, we just look at the base problem that's going on right now all over the world, which is the endocrine disrupting chemicals, the amount of estrogen that men have, the femininity of men, and what's going on even in children right now with low testosterone levels, low sperm count levels, and the problems that and the attack that we're seeing on the endocrine systems of both male and female. So I'm always looking for ways to boost that and to make it more effective and naturally get the body to start producing these hormones and balancing themselves. So what we decided to do was, how can we add a few other components in there that would actually boost the effectiveness of the super male vitality and at the same time address different issues that the male might have, so it would be a full approach. And one of those was zinc. And zinc is actually necessary for the production of testosterone. There's more and more studies coming out that zinc is essential for hormone balancing.
What is in the goat weed? You've got one of the purest, strongest organic forms of it. What's so magic about the goat weed?
Well, the horny goat weed was given that name because years ago in India, they noticed that a certain time of the year, this weed would grow and the goats would eat it and they would just go crazy with all the female goats. So that's how it was developed. It's called epimedium. And what that's been proven to do over thousands of years is increase sexual pleasure, help balance the male hormones. It can actually be used for women as well. But it really kind of resets and brings the hormone balance, improves sperm motility, and increases testosterone levels.
So it counters the stuff they've been throwing at us. Results will vary overall. All I know is dynamite. I mean, absolutely dynamite with the stamina, with the weightlifting, with the swimming. Folks, the new product is available. Anthroplex, available at InfoWarsLife.com. Dr. Group, thank you for developing this amazing product.
Thank you.
Well, for those of you out there with Wi-Fi sensitivity, there's something new coming down the pipeline with technology that you might want to watch out for. I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute, but first, I want to make sure everyone is going to the InfoWars store. For right now, another limited run of the Liver Shield is back in stock. We are running a special there on the Ultimate Cleanse Pack, and we keep selling out of Liver Shield with every new run, and for good reason. It takes us a while to get this product back in stock because it's high quality nutrients and, you know, it's kind of hard to process. So it's back in stock. It's a limited run. You can learn how to perform a liver flush at InfoWarsLife.com. You'll see my videos there with my testimonial. I did this myself. I'm about to do it again to get ready for the summer. And it's specifically formulated to support natural function and detoxification of the liver and gallbladder. Those organs are so vital for you to be healthy, happy, functioning adult here in this world. And of course, the more that we have this onslaught with Wi-Fi and all these new technologies that they're pushing on us, ever more we need to make sure that we are detoxifying our system, especially exposure to non-thermal radio frequency radiation. So this is coming from Wi-Fi as well as cellular phones, and it can disrupt normal cellular development and especially fetal development. Now you have to be concerned about Li-Fi, short for light fidelity. So it uses the frequencies generated by LED light bulbs, which flicker on and off imperceptibly thousands of times a second. It beams information through the air. It only works if it's placed directly in the light, and it cannot travel through walls. I personally see that as a bonus because, of course, then we're not going to have to deal with these effects which parents are concerned of with Wi-Fi penetrating through the walls. And of course, here is another issue that some of you guys out there need to be concerned about if you keep your cell phones close to your pocket.
A new study shows that having a mobile phone close to the testicles or within a foot or two of the body can lower sperm levels so much that conceiving could become difficult, reports The Telegraph. The findings have led to leading British fertility experts to advise men to stop being addicted to mobile phones. Specialists found that sperm levels of men who kept their phones in their pockets during the day were seriously affected in 47% of cases, compared to just 11% in the general population. The team monitored more than 100 men attending a fertility clinic for a year. Even keeping a phone on a bedside table appears to lower sperm counts. The quality of sperm among men in Western countries is constantly decreasing and is considered crucial in 40% of cases. By contrast, Professor Alan Pacey, a fertility research scientist at Sheffield University, has scoffed at suggestions that mobile phones could be damaging male fertility and insists he will continue to carry his phone in his pocket. You can find more reports on Infowars.com.
Body hacking, a term that encapsulates everything from hair colorings and piercings to more notable examples such as body modifications, if not outright limb replacement. We're going to spend the weekend here at the Austin Body Hacking Convention, and while I do anticipate meeting many interesting people, our first guest, James, is most definitely the star of the show. Do you just plug it into a wall, or how do you charge it?
It has a high voltage lithium polymer battery, and so it's kind of sensitive and it needs to be charged in the correct way.
Well, the big question is, how does it feel?
It's really interesting, actually. It's got a unique feel. It's quite heavy because of all the technology we put in, but also light because of the materials we use with this high-tech carbon fiber, which is just like the lightest thing that we could have chosen. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to incorporate some cool stuff. It's got lighting in there that we can activate. It's going to have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, heart rate sensor and stuff like that to reflect my heart rate through the arm and stuff. So it's going to have a whole bunch of different features as well.
There's a drone as well.
I always forget about the drone. It's going to have a quadcopter mounted on the side.
James's arm came out of the Phantom Limb Project, an initiative where video game developer Konami teamed with technology companies and sought to fit a gamer with a prosthetic similar to the one worn by Venom Snake, the flagship character in Konami's Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
This is inspired by the Metal Gear series. Metal Gear's always kind of explored the relationship between humans and technology. You know, we've got lots of cyborgs in the series. We've got, you know, big mechanical weapons. And so using this idea, we thought of like maybe we could create this amazing arm for an amputee gamer. So a friend of mine called Sophie de Oliveira Barata makes incredible alternative prosthetics. And so I kind of put two and two together and asked her if she'd be interested in working in this project, and she was really up for it. So we sort of sent out this survey to find an amputee gamer who was really up for the idea of having an amazing alternative limb. And we found James. We have a 3D modeler called Rudy. We've worked with Open Bionics, who have made the bionic hand. Now, it's not switched on at the moment, but there's some sensors in James's harness which work on his muscles, and he can send signals to his hand and perform all these different gestures which he can program himself. The main part of the arm is made of carbon fiber by a company called GTR, Global Racing Technologies.
To be honest, the best thing about it is just how it looks, to be honest, because I've tried to get used to our health service prosthetic that I got in the UK, and it just has no personality. And for me, with my high level of amputation, it's not a great deal of use.
Is there anything implanted in your body, anything internal?
No, this project is basically, we found each other before I'm going to the implanted stage. I'm basically fundraising at the moment to get titanium implants into my bone. So basically I don't need to have this big harness, which it's just holding this thing on, and it would just connect to my bone directly. But it costs so much money. And in the UK, we can't get that on our health service. So I'm really fortunate to have tried this 3D printing hand. And the great thing about the 3D printed hand and Open Bionics is that they're making it accessible for people to have this kind of thing at a really low cost.
Do you guys have any plans to make more of these? Is this an ongoing project?
I mean, it's been such a labour of love for everyone, I think. You know, we just want to make this absolutely perfect for James. There aren't any plans in the moment to make another one.
In case you were wondering, James was polite enough to share the story of how he lost his arm.
I've seen the footage of the CCTV, and basically I kind of step towards the train as it's arriving, and then I'm just walking alongside it, and then the next frame I'm like falling between two carriages, and it just removed my leg at the time, and my arm was later amputated like a couple of hours later because it was severely damaged.
We'll finish with James shortly. The conference hosted a number of startups eager to help those with disabilities. One demonstrated a vest that could help the deaf perceive sound.
We are creating a vest that a deaf person can wear to learn to understand speech and sound. So it's a sensory substitution vest, which means that it's taking one sense, in our case sound, and presenting it to you through a different sense, in this case touch. So we've got these vibrating motors, kind of like what's in your phone, and they're spread across your torso, and the sound is translated into patterns and played through those motors onto the vest.
Also in attendance was DangerousThings.com, a group that, quote, believes biohacking is at the forefront of a new kind of evolution. We caught up with them as they provided free RFID implants.
Well, I just got chipped. It was definitely not as painful as I was anticipating. It's actually a 800 megabyte chip, and it's got its own serial code, and so it's like my own personal encryption key that we'll see. There's a lot of software and hardware that's compatible with this, and I can basically pick and choose what I wanted to do. One of the things he was saying is that I can get this removed pretty much at any point in time by any piercer. It's very close to the surface, and so it's just a small excision in order to get it removed.
Is there any cost to getting the procedure done?
Not today. It's free.
How can your organization afford to give it out for free?
Well, this is just a promotional event. So we crowdfunded the development of this, and we just have a lot of them. So it was the campaign was way more successful than I ever thought. And so for Body Hacking Con, I mean, it's the first con that I've been to that's about body hacking and biohacking, like specifically. So yeah, I figured I'd just do them for free.
Back to James. With all the advances in technology, we wanted to know if he felt artificial augmentation is the future for humanity.
I think it's basically so endemic in current culture and video games and films that it's literally, we're becoming more open to it, and it's going to happen. At the current rate, the current technology we have, I do not recommend envying anybody with an amputation, because we're not anywhere near being good enough to augment a body part or lose something for something else.
You can find more reports at InfoWars Director's Cut on YouTube.
This is Bernie Sanders, and I'm quite upset. If you guys saw the Iowa caucus the other night, you would know that I worked extremely hard for these votes. And the people that were working in the Iowa caucus took what I worked hard for and gave it to someone else. A lying, cheating, horrible human being by the name of Hillary Clinton. And I don't understand how anybody could like something like this. That you work hard for something your whole life and you earn something, and then you're expected to give it to someone else who's not as deserving and is too lazy or more of a piece of crap than you are. What kind of person would even think about something like that? Hey, that'd be you, Bernie Sanders. Guess you just felt the burn. You can find more reports like this at InfoWars.com. I'm Joe Biggs.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd. Here we go, folks, I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere, and that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
The time is near where we are having to reconsider the whole saying that America is the land of the free. Political correctness has run amok. They are completely trying to reinterpret what the First Amendment means. The Constitution is trying to be rewritten at every turn. By Roger Stone on the air, and this is because he was making some disparaging remarks on Twitter about CNN political analyst Ana Navarro. In an email, Stone said CNN's decision smacks of Soviet-style censorship. And indeed it does. And we are seeing this everywhere, even on Twitter. So Twitter, if you have the conservative Twitter account, had been suspended. This was for the crime of having the wrong politics. This person was very active, Robert Stacey McCain. He was very active in criticizing third-wave feminism. And of course, this comes right after Twitter announced their Trust and Safety Council, which is headed by not a single conservative group, but all of these other social justice warriors, including Anita Sarkeesian, of course, who was one of these prime targets of Robert Stacey McCain. So as soon as these groups got a little bit of power, you can see they started taking off the Twitter check marks for conservatives and just blackballing them all together. And we've also reported how they're trying to do the same thing here with InfoWars, trying to get us labeled as terrorists. So that's why you guys need to make sure that you are signed up to the Alex Jones Insider newsletter, just in case they ever take us off the air or take the site down. It's completely free, and you can sign up at Infowars.com/newsletter. So key to do that now as we're seeing this rampant blackballing of conservative voices and voices that people don't like. Oh, it hurts. But one person that they're not going to censor is the Pope, even when he chimes in on U.S. politics.
Grazie a Dio che ha detto che io sono politico, perché sia dove sia e non fare ponti non è cristiano. quest'uomo non è cristiano. Si dice questo così. E che sono una pedina, ma forse non so.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
The establishment is definitely afraid of Donald Trump. Never before have we seen in the same week a U.S. sitting president and the biggest Christian religious leader in the world with over 1 billion followers criticize a presidential candidate. And the way they've misrepresented what Donald J. Trump stands for really shows you that he is the outsider, anti-establishment candidate. But just when I thought I'd seen it all, it happened. Since last year, when the Pope started calling for us to open our borders up and started saying that we were racist and evil for not doing it, I pointed out that even the New York Times admits Mexico has one of the strictest southern borders with Guatemala in the world, and upwards of a year in prison, forced labor, if they catch you trying to sneak in. So I said, why do we have to be wide open? And then once people get here, put them on welfare and make them collectivist Bernie Sanders voters. And then when I traveled to Rome last year and actually saw the 200-foot plus walls, on average over 90 feet, it blew me away around Vatican City, which they say themselves in the tours is the oldest sovereign nation, tax exempt, above the law in the world. And we pointed out it has armed guards, the Swiss guards, its own protective details. A few hundred yards in front of it is a huge armored fortress castle that also protects it, and it's where the Swiss guards stay. And all we were saying is, hey, Mexico has borders. Hey, other countries have borders. Saudi Arabia hasn't taken one Muslim refugee from Syria, but wants us to take more. And the Pope doesn't criticize Italy controlling its borders. The Pope doesn't, say get rid of their walls. And how did the New York Times and countless other papers respond? Hey, people, you're wrong again. It isn't a walled city. And they pointed out that there's an open square. The wall's cut in. There's a big open square with the famous obelisk brought there from Egypt, and that you can come there and basically worship the Pope or whatever. I've been there. I've seen it. It's giant walls with huge 50-foot iron doors and armed guards. It's just a concave area that lets you come in, but you're still without the walls. So it gives you that feeling of being in it, but you're not, and that's how they deceive you. So let's look at this map for ourselves. The only area open is this square to the rest of Rome, open to the sovereign city of the Vatican, Vatican City, to the public. But when you then look here, this is all an internal wall, and there are giant iron doors 50 feet tall before you enter the actual church. And then there are giant walls that have been there since the 800s when the Muslims invaded hundreds of times. But what they do is they deceive people and say, look, Donald Trump's people put out this map online showing the walls. And then they show the wall out here, which you see is open to the public to come in to the gates of the walls, feel like they're inside the church, but they're not. It's a holding area open. These are walls, just decorative. Big steel doors, armed guards. The Pope comes out on a balcony and talks to people. Then at night, they have big steel fences they put up and close off. And you try to even approach it, police cars pull up, like when we were there. But this is an internal area for folks to come in, but it's within the walls. As you can see, this is open. So the map they put out had this mistake, but they're saying, oh, there are no walls. No, there are huge walls and steel doors. And it continues here as you enter the church and other areas. Huge lines, sometimes 10 hours. We experienced it to get inside of this most famous of all walled cities that claims it's the oldest sovereign state in the world, doesn't pay taxes, doesn't take immigrants in, does whatever it wants, but is lecturing us, and now in the New York Times and everywhere else, lying to the public. So people are now spinning this saying, okay, you got us. Vatican is controlled. You can't just walk into it. There are checkpoints. There are big walls. There are drawbridges and steel gates. You're right. It's a big armored fortress, a castle, one of the biggest in the world. You're correct.
But it was biblical times. It was back a long time ago. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It wasn't in biblical times. It was in the 600s, 700s, and 800s that almost all of Italy was overrun except for Vatican City. And thank God they had 200-foot walls because they were able to withstand the takeover. And so when the radical Muslims got kicked out, which wasn't the radical Muslims, it was mainline Muslims, they were able to reconstitute some form of Western civilization. You can say what you want about the Vatican, but they did keep a lot of the secrets developed in Western culture that were lost when the Visigoth Germans came in and took over Rome previously. Then later, 1,000 years later or so, you see the Muslims coming in. So you can go back to the entire history of what Rome has gone through, whether it was Alaric sacking Rome in 410, or whether it was the Muslims sacking it over and over again. It was the biggest walls in the world that allowed any of Christianity to remain and exist that wasn't overrun by the Islamicists. And no wonder this new pope that wants us to take all these radical Islamicists into Europe and into the U.S. wants us to get rid of our walls, but not his walls. I know that Donald Trump follows InfoWars some, and I would like to encourage him to double down. He's got a great private jet, to jump on it, to fly over to Italy, and to go up there with a camera crew and point out that the walls are there, and to try to go walk right through the front entrance at those big 50-foot steel doors and have them turn him away. And just in their face document that he told the truth and he pointed out the common sense. It's okay for all these other countries to have borders and to have fences. We even pay in Iraq and Afghanistan to build them walls and fences. But we can't control our sovereignty. If you don't have borders, then you're not even citizens. If anybody could just walk in and get everything for free, that makes citizens slaves of the folks that have come in. They pitch it like it's racist not to take unlimited people in from the world and then give them a free ride. This is the ultimate political correctness psyop. And the fact that Donald Trump's standing up against it is the reason I'm supporting him 110%. Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash, you're gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
It has been nicknamed Chernobyl on the Hudson. Lying just 34 miles north of New York City's Central Park, the Indian Point Energy Center has been leaking the radioactive material known as tritium into the groundwater. On February 6, 2016, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo finally alerted the public as to the potential catastrophe. Better late than never? In 1973, the plant was shut down after engineers discovered buckling in the steel liner of the concrete dome in which the nuclear reactor is housed. On October 17, 1980, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission proposed a $2,100,000 fine for an incident involving 100,000 gallons of Hudson River water that had leaked into the Indian Point 2 containment building from the fan cooling unit, undetected by a safety device designed to detect hot water. 2 pumps which should have removed the water were found to be inoperative. In 1984, the New York Times reported that 25% of the young fish known as the Atlantic tomcod and 89% of the older Atlantic tomcod inhabiting the Hudson suffered from liver cancer. These mutated tomcods had evolved after GE dumped PCBs into the Hudson River from 1947 to 1976. In 2005, Entergy workers, while digging, discovered a small leak in a spent fuel pool. Water containing tritium and strontium-90 was leaking through a crack in the pool building and then finding its way into the nearby Hudson River. In 2007, a transformer at Unit 3 caught fire, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission raised its level of inspections. In April of 2007, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission fined the owner of the Indian Point nuclear plant $130,000 for failing to meet a deadline for a new emergency siren plan. The 150 sirens at the plant were meant to alert residents within 10 miles to a plant emergency. In 2009, an International Journal of Health Services study revealed that residents living on the Hudson had a 67% higher thyroid cancer rate than the national average. In 2010, an explosion occurred in a main transformer for Indian Point 2, spilling oil into the Hudson River. Entergy later agreed to pay a $1.2 million penalty for the transformer explosion. In July of 2013, a former supervisor who worked at Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant for 29 years was arrested for falsifying critical safety records and lying to federal regulators. In June of 2015, a Mylar balloon floated into a switch yard, causing an electrical problem resulting in the shutdown of Reactor 3. In July of 2015, Reactor 3 was again shut down after a water pump failure. On December 5, 2015, Indian Point 2 was shut down after several control rods lost power. Obviously, Indian Point could potentially be a repeat of the, at the very least, Level 7 Fukushima Daiichi disaster if a nuclear meltdown occurs due to a hurricane or other natural event leading to equipment failures. However, a similar disaster would require the evacuation of 5.6 million people and render Manhattan a no-go zone for decades. In 2004, a study by the Union of Concerned Scientists estimated as many as 44,000 near-term deaths from acute radiation syndrome and as many as 518,000 long-term cancer deaths could occur in people within 50 miles of Indian Point in the event of a severe accident. Potential disaster models reveal the Indian Point plume could reach Chernobyl mass event levels 9 times the radiation released at Fukushima. Indian Point is just one of at least 5 damaged nuclear power plants in the United States. They are an obvious target for terrorists. Just one more glaring reason why we need our borders closed to President Obama's unconstitutional executive order on immigration. John Bound for Infowars.com.
A Montana-based artist is taking on Obama and the death of Scalia and the Constitution. This is Ben Garrison's take on Obama, saying he's burying the Constitution with Scalia. Now, we reported how on February 22nd, President Obama delivered remarks to the National Governors Association at the White House, during which he cracked a joke at Scalia's expense. And here's what Alex Jones had to say about that.
Yesterday, President Obama hosted the National Governors Association at the White House. We viewed the speech and noticed that he made a joke about having to appoint a judge during his time left in office, and then began to laugh and basically leer and make very bizarre, smug faces that you would expect to see out of a cartoon with the Legion of Doom meeting at one of their organized crime summits. It was just bizarre. And so we put the video out, drudgereport.com, linked to it, and it's since gone viral. But then I noticed that we had just posted a lower res version of it, so I asked one of our editors to blow it up So you can actually see Obama's face up close and the bizarre, leering smiles that he is engaged in, like something, again, out of a comic book. And it lets you know how incredibly creepy this is when you add to it the clip of him saying, I'm really good at killing people, or Hillary saying, I came to Libya, I saw Gaddafi died. It's just really sick. Then there's no autopsy. He's found with a pillow over his head. All the suspicious stuff is going on. He was set to hear all these key cases on open borders and the Second Amendment and sovereignty and our power plants and carbon taxes, and now he's dead, and Obama intends to do some type of emergency appointment they're calling the nuclear option. So first, let's play the clip at regular speed, and then let's play it slowed down and blown up.
Like me, some of you might be in the final year of your last term, working as hard as you can to get as much done as possible for the folks that you represent. Fixing roads, educating our children, helping people retrain, appointing judges, the usual stuff.
This creeped me out when I saw it, and it's really resonating with people across the board that at bare minimum he needs to apologize. These were written, prepared statements though. This was a joke written for him. And then you hear people saying bizarre things to him, like celebrating with him after he makes the statement. So we're trying to isolate that audio and boost it right now. That'll be in another video coming out tomorrow. But first, let's just go ahead and go to this bizarre behavior, and you decide what you're witnessing.
Like me, some of you might be in the final year of your last term, working as hard as you can to get as much done as possible for the folks that you represent. Fixing roads, educating our children, helping people retrain, appointing judges, the usual stuff.
Obama's Scalia death joke really has angered America. Not just our listeners and viewers, but people all across the world have really been disgusted by the enjoyment he takes when talking about the fact that he gets to appoint a new judge because Scalia is dead. You talk about rubbing it in. You talk about bragging. If this ain't it, nothing is.
We came, we saw, he died.
I have two words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming. You think I'm joking?
Thanks for watching the show tonight. We will see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
You traitors claiming I'm a Ruski agent, say it to my face and I'll break your nose. I'm sick of it. I will stomp your head in the ground, you traitorous maggots, while we go under Obamacare, North American Union, conquered by European banks, announcing our kids don't belong to us, total bondage, total surveillance, and you want to shoot your mouth off about me being a Ruski agent. I will stomp your head in the ground.
Never water yourself down just because someone can't handle you at 100 proof. It's the Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
I wish we could go back to the days, I'm telling you, of just getting my satisfaction out in the street. You pick a sword or something else. Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more.
all organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligram, the standard recommended dose for an adult, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.